will begin the Finding and Accessing Data in the UK Data Service webinar. Today's webinar will be about how to find and access data held by the UK Data Service. There will be an introduction on the types of data available via our service and information on how to use our various search engines as well as other useful tools. In the second part of the webinar, we will look at the dataset and series pages. In the third section, we will look at different ways data can be accessed and we'll touch on different access conditions that exist for our data. Finally, at the end, we will have some time for questions. Should your question not be answered during the presentation, we will be in touch with answers. If you have any questions regarding a specific application or project, there will be slides at the end advising how best to get in touch with us to discuss them. So what is the UK Data Service? The UK Data Service is a comprehensive resource funded by the ESRC, the Economic and Social Research Council. Our primary aim is to provide users with seamless, flexible access to a wide range of data resources in order to facilitate high-quality social and economic research and education. And to do this, we provide a single point of access to a wide range of social science data. In addition to the data, we also provide support, training and guidance in the form of webinars and a range of face-to-face events. We also collaborate across the UK with other organisations and research data experts such as JISC, the University of Manchester, the University of Leeds, Southampton, Edinburgh and the University College London. So next we'll discuss sources of our data. So the data we hold come from a variety of sources and we're allowed to disseminate them under licence from the original data creator. Our depositors include national statistics authorities, such as the ONS, UK government departments, such as the Home Office, and intergovernmental organisations, like the International Monetary Fund. We also have data from research institutes, for example, NatCen and ISA and CLS. We also, in addition to this, work with individual researchers. However, it is important to stress that we do not collect the data ourselves. We only curate, preserve and catalogue the data that is deposited with. So who is our data for? Who can use it? Our data is available to academic researchers and students, government analysts, charities and foundations, business consultants, independent research centres and think tanks. However, individual datasets do have select access criteria and some aren't available for commercial use under their licenses. We hold just over 7,800 datasets of a number of types and with new datasets being added all of the time. Here we focus on 4 key types of data. These are our most popular data. Survey microdata, for example, the Understanding Society series or the Quarterly Labour Force Survey series. International macrodata, such as multinational aggregate data banks and survey data. Census data, aggregate data from 1971 to 2011, or microdata from 1981 to 2011. We also hold qualitative and mixed methods data. So before we get stuck into the data types mentioned on the previous slide and how to access them, I'd like to touch on data categorization quickly. There are various ways we categorize data. One of these is by type. Data on persons in the form of surveys, data on places such as census data for small areas or international time series data for countries. Finally, qualitative data and mixed methods data. Another way to categorize is by purpose, research or teaching, perhaps if you're teaching a workshop of students on how to access and analyze data. And finally, we have by details, particular variables or questions in the data. Now on this slide, we have an example of quantitative data. This example has been taken from the Public Attitudes to Animal Research Survey from 2016. This dataset can be found using our data search engines and is available under open data license due to it being less disclosive. You'll notice the banded ages and incomes, and that the government office regions are the lowest geographic unit, so this data isn't considered high risk. Next, we have an example of qualitative data. This example shows the transcript of an interview with Frank Woolley from family life and work experience before 1918, 1870 to 1973, also known as the Edwardians. This particular data is also considered open access, so is available in our Quali Bank, which we'll touch on later. Now, we'll move on to finding data. Examples of our key data and how to locate them, data by theme, and how to use our catalogue and other useful resources and tools such as the HASSET and data map. Key data are some of the most commonly used data we hold, divided into the different data types we covered earlier. The key data page can be very useful if you're looking for a particular type of data, but have not yet chosen a topic. The page can be accessed from our website by going to the Get Data button, then selecting the Key Data option from the pop-up menu. When the Key Data page loads, you'll see our different data types listed at the top, and selecting each one of these will load a list of suggested data sets and series underneath. So here in orange, you can see that if I clicked the UK surveys page, you would receive studies such as the British Social Attitudes, Community Life Survey. In red here, if I was to select the cross-national surveys, you would see things such as the European Quality of Life Survey. And finally, for an example, in blue, we have the International Macrodata tab. And that's things such as the IEA coal information surveys. Now, if you have a particular research topic that you're interested in, our theme pages will be the place for you. The theme pages can be accessed in a very similar way to our key data. Again, you select the Get Data button on our homepage, but this time you select the Data by Theme option. There are 14 themes in total, such as ageing, environment and energy, health, and politics. And in addition to this, we also have a new COVID-19 theme page. The individual theme pages not only list commonly used datasets on the 14 different topics, but also provide additional information and guidance. There's guidance on how to search for the data and find data on this topic, case study examples of research conducted using our data, and links to external resources for further information. They're a brilliant resource for those of you who know what you want to research, but you don't know where to start. If you don't want to use the search by theme or our key data pages, you can use our data search engine to look for all available datasets. Perhaps the most common way to access data is simply to search using keywords, a study number, or other terms such as the dataset's title. In one form or another, the search function for our catalogue can be found in most pages of the website. You can see on screen now the different appearances it takes on. The search function from our homepage can also be used to search our website by switching search data to search website if you're looking for specific pages that are not a catalogue record. So on this next slide, you can see I've performed a keyword search of employment and unemployment in our catalogue. In the blue box that appears beneath the searcher bar, you can see how many results have been returned, and these are listed below. Off to the left-hand side, you have the option to switch between viewing datasets and viewing data series, as well as filtering your results. The filters on the left-hand side can be used to help find suitable studies by narrowing down your returned results if you're feeling a little overwhelmed. In this clip, you'll see how I can use the filters. I can update the date, for example, to 2010 to 2018. I can select a topic. I can choose my data type and select the access level of the data. And finally, I can select a country. This will help me filter the over 1,000 results I have received down to just 2. And from here, I would select the dataset's title to view their catalogue page. But for now, we'll move on to our next set of search tools, our variable, question and query banks, and we'll pick up with the catalogue a bit later on in more detail. So another approach you could use is to search for specific phrases used in variable names via our variable and question bank. The variable and question bank can be accessed from the main catalogue search bar. There's an example at the bottom here where you can see the variable and question and query bank search selectors. In the example on the right, you'll see what our variable and question bank looks like. And you'll also see that I have searched the term solar power. Now what's good about the bank is that you may not find datasets that have the term solar power in their titles. However, this option allows you to locate data that contain questions or modules regarding solar energy, thus returning results you may not have considered if you were just scrolling through our regular catalogue and the list of datasets returned. Next up is our query bank. This is our data catalogue for qualitative data, and the results returned on query bank searches are based on your keywords not only appearing in the data's title or information page, but the contents of the data itself. So if you search poverty as an example, the search will return results where poverty was mentioned as part of an interview, in addition to it possibly being in the title. Like with our other search functions in our data catalogue, query bank results can also be filtered via resource type, collection title, and dates, as well as many other options. Like with key data and data by theme, our data map is available from the Get Data tab located across the top banner of our homepage under the Data by Geography section. Here you can use a world map to find datasets based on their location. So this can be helpful if you're seeking data from a particular area. Once you have zoomed in sufficiently to pinpoint datasets, these will, like with our other tools, contain links to our data catalogue in order for you to explore more about the data and how to access them. Finally, we move to our HASSET Thesaurus. Each dataset in our catalogue has keyword terms associated with it that come from the Humanities and Social Science Electronic Thesaurus, also known as our HASSET Thesaurus. You will see an example of these keywords as they appear in our data catalogue records in the bottom frame of this slide. These keywords link to regular searches conducted in our main catalogue, but our HASSET Thesaurus can help you explore topics as it links together keywords and registers them under umbrella terms. For example, you can see on the right-hand side that I have searched poverty in HASSET, and it has provided a link to results returned in our data catalogue. But it has also suggested broader and narrower and related terms that could potentially be worth exploring. And each of these suggested terms will also link back to results within our main catalogue. So you can see here on the right hand side where it says poverty, it also suggests that you look at maybe a broader term of social disadvantage or a narrower term of child poverty, or perhaps related terms of living conditions, pawn shops, poor persons, or wealthy persons, and each of these links back to the data catalogue. In this next section of the webinar, We will explore our dataset and series records located within our catalogue. So many of our surveys are part of a series. A data series page records groups of the datasets that are involved as part of the series together, so they're easily accessible or identifiable. They also contain other information and resources that are useful for researchers. Here we can see the Understanding Society series page. This is located on the left-hand side as an example. The main page of the series has an abstract providing some details on the surveys, as well as a tab for frequently asked questions, highlighted in blue, and a resources page which provides details of similar studies, case studies and publications, highlighted in orange. Finally, you'll see the Access Data button highlighted in green. The Access Data tab is where the datasets that are part of a series can be found. The datasets are grouped according to the access conditions. So you'll see there's end user license level data, which is highlighted in orange at the very top, special license data, which is highlighted in green, and then finally, highlighted in blue, there is secure and safe room data contained within this series. Each dataset's title is hyperlinked to its individual catalogue record. So as an example, I'm going to select study number 6614, located at the top of the end user license level data section. On this slide, you can see the individual dataset catalogue record. You'll notice the dataset title at the top and the study number located in the details section, 6614, as well as other information such as the access level and the principal investigator. In addition to this, there are several other expandable sections that provide further details, such as the abstract and citation and copyright sections. You'll also notice there is a section for the HASSET Thesaurus, keywords mentioned earlier, just above the abstract section. As well as the expandable section on the catalogue record, you will also see there are several tabs located just under the dataset title. The first is the main details page, containing the section we just looked at. The next is the documentation tab that contains data dictionaries to check the data's contents, as well as other resources such as user guides provided by the data owners. Then the resources tab, providing details of similar studies, case studies and publications created with the individual dataset. Finally, you have the Access button, or the Access Data button, but we'll come back to that shortly as part of how to access the data. In this final section of the webinar, we will learn how to access data, cover access conditions, cover downloading data, and online data access. So throughout this presentation, you would have heard me reference the access level or access conditions of our data. Our data are broken down into 4 overall access levels: reshare data, open data, safeguarded data, and controlled data. Now, reshare data are where depositors have self-deposited data, and the access conditions are described in the catalogue record, as they tend to be non-standard, not conforming to our regular access procedure. Our open data are considered minimal to no disclosure risk, and can be accessed without creating a user account, but sometimes require a click-through acknowledgement. Next, we have our safeguarded data. We have 2 different access levels as part of the safeguarded classification. The first of these is end-user license. These data contain no direct identifiers, but there is a small disclosure risk through linking the data. So the EUL data, as it's commonly referred to, is protected by the need to hold an account with us, but can be downloaded almost immediately from our online catalogue. Special license data, which is also considered safeguarded data, does require an application form to be completed. Once this is returned to this, we liaise with data owners and ask for permission to release the data, as it contains more detailed information than end-user license level. Now, controlled data, like safeguarded data, contains a couple of levels. Secure access level, which can be accessed via our virtual secure lab, but requires an application to be completed as well as a technical security setup. And safe room data, that contains data so sensitive it can only be accessed from our on-site safe room at the University of Essex. For both of these access levels, researchers are required to demonstrate their trustworthiness around personal data and pass security checks and training. Now, it's also worth noting for this section that due to the COVID-19 pandemic and lockdowns, we have got some alternative access agreements in addition to what you see here for researchers to access data from home. So if you do have any further questions about how this might be possible, or would like to discuss any particular data sets that you would like to access, at the end of this presentation I can help with some general queries, and if you do have any more detailed questions about particular data sets, you can always write to our help desk and we'll be able to provide further clarification for you. So next, we will look at how you can register for an account with us. There are two ways this can be done, however, both begin by clicking the Login Register button located at the top right corner of our homepage. So next, we will look at how you can register for an account with us. There are two ways this can be done, however, both begin by clicking the Login Register button located at the top right corner of our homepage. The first is by requesting a username. So on the left hand side here you can see the purple hyperlink that says request a username. When you select that, you'll be presented with a brief registration form, and once you've completed that, we'll be able to review it and issue you with a username, and you can use an existing passphrase that you create as part of this process to then log into your account. The second is by using existing credentials. So for example, if you were to log in with an existing University of Edinburgh set of credentials, University of Edinburgh is on our Federation Access Management list. So you can enter your organisation in this box here, and then that would allow you to log in using your existing Edinburgh credentials. Now, if you're not sure whether or not your organisation is part of the Access Management Federation, in the help box on the first paragraph, the top purple hyperlink, if you click that, it will display a list of all organisations that are part of the UK Access Management Federation, and any organisations in this list will appear in the organisation selection when you go to enter it, and you won't need to request a new username. Now, we'll head back to the individual dataset record for study number 6614, Understanding Society and Harmonised BHPS, to look at how we can download the data. The purple Access Data button on the Catalogue record will take you to the screen you can see on this slide. Here, you'll be able to read about access criteria required for the dataset, and once you're ready to proceed, you can select the Add to Account button to add the data to your account. Once you've selected this option, you'll receive a green confirmation message, and from here you can either select to go to your account from the green box, or select the My Account option at the top of the screen. Once you're in the My Account screen, you will see two boxes. The right-hand box is used by depositors, so doesn't apply to us at present. However, the left-hand box contains a list of all your projects, datasets awaiting assignment, and datasets awaiting action. We will be looking at the datasets awaiting assignment, and you will need to select the View Data button to begin the next step of the access process and begin assigning the data to a project space. On the next screen, you will see a list of any datasets currently awaiting assignment to a project, and will be able to select the data and the Add to Project button. This will refresh the page and ask you to choose to add the data to an existing project or create a new project. Once you have completed this, a project space will be created for you within your account, and what we refer to as an access request for the data will be registered against it. Essentially, this is like placing an order. Alternatively, if you have an existing project already, it will appear, the dataset or the access request will appear against your existing project. Now, the reason we request researchers to create projects on our portal is so that we can maintain not only an audit trail of the data access, but report to our depositors which user types are accessing their data and from what organisations and sometimes for what purpose. Your project can be found from the My Account view by selecting Data and then selecting the Projects button that loads underneath. The page will refresh, providing you with a list of each project you have, and their titles will be hyperlinked so you can explore further details such as general information like the abstract, or the Members tab if you're working on a group project and would like to add your colleagues to the space. You will also be able to load a Datasets tab. This is where you will find your access requests, or orders. These will either be displayed as active and be able to download, or may show an amber request access status when further steps are required. For example, if you're requesting access to a special license dataset, you will be able to click the amber request access button to download the required application forms and details on how to return the forms to us. Once we have processed your application, only then would the status be updated to active. But as Study 6614 is an end-user license dataset, you can see here that you can select to download it straight away. Now, we will move on to our online analysis tools. A number of our key studies can be accessed online through our Nestar service. And the great thing about Nestar is basic analysis and visualizations can be performed without downloading the data or using statistical software. So, if you don't yet have a particular software package in place and are looking to explore data that you would potentially like to use, this is a great option. Nestar can be accessed via a few ways. The first is from the Get Data tab, which will allow you to select the Explore Online option. You'll see this in the top example on this slide. The second is via the Access Online button on the Access Data tab of selected datasets catalogue records. You'll see this on the right hand side. The third is via the Nestar link in the data series page. This example's at the bottom. You'll notice in this particular example that the Nestar link isn't available for all data. This is because it only appears for data that are available online. This next slide shows our Nestar portal. Located in the left-hand column is a full list of all data collections available via Nestar. Using the left-hand column, you can expand menus to see datasets, metadata, and variable descriptions. A dataset abstract is also provided on Nestar providing information about the data. Tabs across the top help you to tabulate and analyse variables. If you're looking to use international macrodata, you may find our ukds.stat tool beneficial. These are data provided by a number of organisations such as the World Bank, OECD and the United Nations. Stat can be accessed by going to Get Data, Explore Online, and allows for easy creation of time series data displayed as heat maps and other visualizations. However, it is worth noting that not all the data is available to everyone. For example, the International Energy Agency data is only available for UK academics. If you are interested in using aggregate census data, then you can use InFuse for 2001 and 2011. On screen is an example of the InFuse interface where analysis can be conducted within your web browser. You can just pick your topics from the options shown on screen, and you can specify your parameters, and then you can produce tables. It's worth noting that whilst I have briefly touched on Nestar, Stat and InFuse tools in this webinar, they each have a collection of comprehensive guides and walkthroughs on their pages under the Explore Online section of our website. It's definitely worth looking at if you would like to know more about these tools. Finally, if you have any questions with regards to our service, data we hold, or how to access our data, we always advise researchers to view our frequently asked questions page, located under the Help tab at the very top of our web page. Or you can always contact us directly via our Get in Touch page, also located within the Help tab. Should you ever struggle to locate these pages, you can also email us at help@ukdataservice.ac.uk. So we do always advise researchers to register with their affiliated organisation. So that can be a university if you are associated to one. It doesn't necessarily have to be your university, but we would advise that the organisation associated to the research that you're conducting needs to be the one stated on your registration. We do offer personal user accounts, but what you find is dependent on the user type, the data available to you will change based on the licenses that we hold with them. But that's not to say that you can't register for a personal user type. So we do have some people that prepare for kind of enrolling to a university. So they'll have a personal account to do some research and analysis, and then will register with us with a university account once they've enrolled. So someone has asked if the safe room is a physical space. It currently is. It's a physical room we have in our offices at the University of Essex. It's something that we usually under normal circumstances would take booking requirements for. If you've submitted an application for safe room data, you can just get in touch with us once that's all been approved, and we can book you in, and we have someone meet you and kind of sign you in and out of the room. At the moment that is closed. I don't have a date for when the safe room will reopen, but I do know it is something that our directors are currently discussing. So as soon as there is further information on that, I dare say our comms team will be announcing that probably via our website and our newsletters. So someone has put, how do I know what data type I want? So what you find is our Catalogue pages for our data sets always have kind of their access conditions and a little bit about them. So they will say on the catalogue record whether or not something is open data or if it's safeguarded data, and that will go down to the level of it being special license, secure access, or maybe just end user license data. With regards to kind of how you determine which one's best for your research, what we recommend for a lot of our end user license level data, so they're kind of the more basic, they are safeguarded still, but they're at that lower level and they're available for download directly from our catalogue. most of the time straight away. Sometimes you might have to accept a special kind of click-through condition, but they are 99% you're available to download straight away. So we'd say for end user license data, if you're not sure if you need it or not, download it, assign it to a project, have a little look through it and see if it's something you can use. With regards to kind of special license data, secure data and safe room data, that's that higher level. So obviously there's a few kind of applications and roadblocks in the way that you need to apply for. But the good thing with those is each dataset's individual catalogue record has a documentation tab on it. And that documentation tab tends to include things like user guides and other helpful documents. It also contains a data dictionary. So if you can't access the data straight away and you have to apply, that documentation tab will always have a data dictionary, and that will list all of the variables included in that data set. So you can essentially have a look through the contents of the data without actually seeing it at that point. And that's when you can kind of get to know kind of whether or not it's going to be okay for your use and can potentially submit an application. I'm interested in data to the charity sector as a whole and would work on recruitment in the charity sector, especially around equality, diversity, bias. Can you talk me through how to perform such a search? So again, what we would look at is possibly referring to our theme pages. We do have a lot of data sets kind of on equality. We do have a lot of business data sets as well. So you may find kind of if you're looking into the recruitment process, things are coming up there. My best recommendation would be to explore those theme pages. You can always try keyword searches within our search bar. There's always our Thesaurus as well, which will kind of take you on those branching off options. So if you wanted to search kind of equality in the Thesaurus, that would then kind of suggest studies that fall under that particular keyword, and then it might be able to start branching off and suggesting other ones. I would always say though, if you're at a complete loss after kind of having a look through our catalogue, do get in touch with our help desk, because we can always look to assist you there. So we've got a question here. As a researcher doing research on multinational oil companies and looking at Nigeria, where do I start from there? So again, much like with the kind of equality diversity, I'd have a look at our theme pages. You may also want to look at our data maps as well, because that section that I showed you on our data maps is where you can open up a map of the world and you can see the different data sets of where we've collected information from different locations. So you may well find that Nigeria is on that list. You can zoom in and you can see exactly what data sets we have with regards to that particular area. Okay, we have another question here. For those with datasets with an end user license, are we able to download the datasets, clean them and share them with students for use in teaching a class? Are we allowed to upload it to a university teaching platform like Moodle, or do we have to get each student to sign up and make them part of the project? So there's a few different ways with regards to kind of teaching projects. It's currently under review. So we are looking to kind of, or we are reassessing that process to try and work out how it's going to be smoothly covered. But at the moment, the three main ways, excuse me, the three main ways are that you could create a project and you could have all your students register and you could add them as project members. We do find some people are kind of going that route at the moment because it's quite difficult when everyone's kind of remote and scattered about. But there is another alternative route, which is what we recommend mainly for teaching projects, is that if you create a teaching project and assign some data to it, you can complete a teaching agreement. Now, sometimes this teaching agreement form will pop up as if to prevent you to access the data, but that's not the case for teaching projects. So you could create a teaching project, you could begin to have a look at the data to see if you want to use it for your class, and when you've kind of determined that you would like to use it for your class, we would have yourself fill out this teaching agreement with details of the data and the project, and then we would like your students to sign. Kind of, there's a section where all your students or all your class can sign the form, just to say that it's being shared and everything's covered. And then from there you can obviously keep it kind of in your internal safe space in order for the students to access it. But we have found sometimes this hasn't worked for some people if they're teaching kind of a particularly big class. Now, what we can do is we can accept a form from each student if it's easier, because obviously before it would be a case of maybe you have the form by the door and they walk into the lecture and can sign it upon entering the room. But that's not the case now. So we can potentially accept the form from individual students, and you can pop them all back to us. So if it means that you've got kind of 30 forms as opposed to one, that's not a problem for us. But also, I understand that's quite strenuous on yourselves. So you may look to explore our third option, which is kind of our virtual kind of Blackboard Moodle environment, where there's this particular page on our website underneath registering your class. So what I would recommend is on that search bar on our main homepage, I spoke about being able to change it from search data to search website. I would recommend giving that a click and changing that to search website and popping in registering a class. That will take you through to a page that just basically informs you of how you can create the virtual learning environment, and you can have your students kind of take a short test. You can record the results of that, and that kind of sets them up in much the same way the teaching agreement does. But obviously you haven't got to kind of chase after 30 students trying to get everyone to sign a form. So are there any webinars for using Nestar, InFuse and instructions via CSV and translating coded data? So what I believe would probably be best is I will have to take that one away. I know we do a lot of workshops, so I dare say there is something. I know our support team do quite a lot of workshops as well, so it's possible there is. So I'll inquire into that, and what I'll do is after this I'll take down your email address and I'll reach out to you just to update you. With regards to Nestar and InFuse, whilst obviously it's not kind of necessarily as good as a workshop and someone going through it all, they do have quite comprehensive guides on their own kind of sections of the website. So there are, I believe, quite a lot of videos there that can kind of guide you through how to use them. Can students access data for their projects, undergraduate and postgraduate taught courses? And when creating their project, can they put the title of their dissertation project? Yes, they can, yeah. So what you'll find is there is a distinction between what undergraduates and postgraduates can access. So for example, postgraduates at a PhD level can access and apply for secure access level data, but master's students and bachelor students can't really apply for secure access data. So that's a big difference. What you may find is that if it's not necessarily for their own work and they're assisting with a PhD or kind of higher research, then there's a very slim possibility. But basically what gets caught up there is the technical requirements and technical setup, as well as there needing to be a public good. There needs to be, you need to be able to demonstrate a public good from the resulting research. But they definitely can apply for various kind of different data sets that we do hold. And with regards to kind of dissertation work, that's not a problem. If you do submit kind of applications to us, so an undergraduate could apply for special license data. If you did submit a project to us, we would recommend that you create the project on our system with the title that's going to be most identifiable to you and to that kind of set project or research that you're conducting, and that the title match the title that you put on your application forms, because we have to be able to link your forms back to a project space you've created. And how much time does it take to get an application for controlled data as a student? Is it possible? So we do have a lot of PhD students using our secure data. And we do have quite a lot of master's and bachelor students using our special license data. Now, our special license data, I believe, takes 4 to 6 weeks for a data owner decision. So sometimes it can take a couple of weeks either side of that process. Sometimes it is much quicker than that. We do have kind of particular data owners that are extremely quick to reply, but we do have data owners where all of their applications are made at kind of a panel committee meeting once a month or once every certain amount of weeks. The same is for controlled access. We would say 6 to 8 weeks for controlled access data sets usually, and a little time either side of that again for the kind of administration, so getting you set up, getting you trained. It does vary on a lot of factors, on kind of obviously if you need training or if you've already conducted kind of safe researcher training, which is a requirement of secure access data sets. You may be asking the question because you already have an application with us. If you do have an application with us at the moment and you are concerned over timescales, I'd say do definitely get in touch with us. If someone's been back in touch with you and kind of reviewed your application already, quote their name back in that email so we can see kind of who's handling that and pick it up a bit quicker for you. We do have quite a high volume of requests at the moment, so we are seeing a few delays. We do have a resolution to that though, so I'm very pleased to confirm that we do have some new team members who are currently kind of getting up to speed and are being trained. I believe they're actually on this webinar as well, so they're getting to know a bit about the data. So if you are worried about timescales, get in touch, chase us up. It's never a problem, but it should be about 4 to 6 weeks with a couple of weeks for admin and 6 to 8 weeks with a couple of weeks for admin. But like I say, we're working on that at the moment. So, and then, is the data categorized by depositor or by UKDS? So it's something that our collections team liaise with the data owners about. So ultimately it is controlled by the data owners. So if the data owners believe that their data set is of a particular kind of sensitivity, if it's a bit too disclosive, we offer kind of the main levels of access that I've mentioned, because we, like most places, we do have to have those set processes, because if every data set had a different access process, it would get very messy. I believe we've got about 8,000 data sets now. But we do, our collections team does liaise with the data owners, and they kind of select the package that kind of they feel most fits the data. So it is ultimately their control. We do have a few that have kind of slightly different access processes, and we do have some where they are reviewed possibly and moved down or moved up dependent on maybe new releases or new waves of the data. No problem. Right, well, thank you very much everyone for attending today. I hope you found it useful, and again, please don't ever hesitate to get in touch if you have any questions about anything at all. It's not a problem.